All right, we're gonna give it a few minutes
Mic
for people to
off.
start kind
Mic
of filtering in.
feedback off.
Gonna probably look to start like, I don't know, 7:02, 7:03. I'll just hang tight. We'll also be checking chat as we go. Just as a heads up as we're going, just feel free to pop any questions in chat. One of us will be keeping an eye on it. We'll have a little spiel to start with, and then we'll start floating questions.
Mic on. Mic feedback on.
Alrighty,
Mic
let's get
off.
this
Mic
show on
feedback
the
off.
road. So first, just going to introduce both of ourselves to you real quick, and then we'll have a little speech, and then we'll start voting questions. My name's Arthur. I have just become co-owner of the Arcanorum LARP, along with my fiance Sammy. And Sammy, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Mic on. Mic feedback on.
You just told him everything.
Oh, fair. It's not much of an introduction.
Hi, I'm Sammy. I am the other half of the co-owners, and Mark is not just some dude, but yes, I am the new Denver director.
Okay,
Mic off. Mic feedback
so we're going to have a little
off.
bit of a speech. Just to start off with, kind of going to hit up the important points. Our target point for a first resumption of game is going to be April next year. So we're blitzing on through the end of the year. We're getting too close to winter to be able to really get anything going with the amount of time we have left. So we're going to endure over the winter, then start in spring next year. Our primary interest in purchasing Arcanorum is the establishing of maximum possible continuity. As we move forward, minimum possible things are going to change. That's kind of what our goal is as a very high top level. To that end, we have retained Ian as head of plot. He will be taking some time to go recruit new members of plot, and then he will form his own member of plot and continue with the story as it is with minimal disruption. We'll figure out some reason why we all just kind of disappeared for 8 months in the middle of the year there. But I would not expect to see any substantial disruption in terms of plot. We are continuing to use the Tempest rule set. We are in talks with the GS team to sign a new contract. We are going to not make any substantial rules changes. We consider those to be out of scope as we move forward into April. There might be some minor tweaks that happen. There's some pain points, but nothing so major. Let's see. I wouldn't expect as a player to see any substantial front end changes. A lot of the changes we intend to make are going to be back end stuff. So, like staffing, we're going to change a lot of the structure of staff. We're going to create a more like disciplined and regimented swim lane structure so that people are like within what they intend to do and are not cross contaminating too heavily. And so that people are avoiding a lot of stress and burnout that comes along with wearing 3 to 4 to 5 to 8 hats. Let's see. We have a couple of items we're going to look into during the winter. A couple of primary items that need to go forward, right? We need to sign a new contract with GS. We've already made contact with them. We're well able to move forward on that. We are probably going to take a look at some of the SP rewards and where there's going to be some community service day events to get some of that stuff cleared up. A particular item is, the care and feeding of Monster Camp. Eric has indicated that he was planning originally to do like an NPC appreciation event, so that might be in the nearish future. We'll have a nice party or event and have all of our very dedicated and much appreciated NPCs out to exhibit to them how much we appreciate them. For anyone who has interest in Kansas, we had a meeting with the Kansas team prior to this meeting. The news is that unless anything drastic changes, they are going to go to a new rule set. They are uninterested in continuing with the Tempest rule set. We will attempt to have a kind of a working sister LARP relationship with them, but we will not be using the same rules going forward.
To add on to
Mike
that, we
feedback
have
on.
discussed cooperation. It is on the table, and we are looking at having potentially some of the same story elements going forward. It's not we're not going to talk to Kansas ever again. That is not what we're looking at right now.
But in terms of rules,
Mic off.
what
Mic feedback
you're looking at
off.
is a separation of rule sets. So, if you're a character from Kansas, like you may have to come to some kind of arrangement there. Probably same character, same identity, 2 different characters in terms of rule sets. We'll figure it out as we move forward. I think I hit everything I wanted to hit. Sammy, was there anything I missed?
Mic on.
No, I think that's
Mic
just about everything.
feedback on.
Okay. Well, open the floor for questions. If you'd like to type them, feel free. There's a request menu if you'd like me to bring you up to the stage so you can ask the question out loud. That is also perfectly fine.
Mic off. Mic feedback off.
Yes, if anyone has any questions for Eric, he is also here to answer any questions he can on his front.
Mic on.
At
Mic
this time, we
feedback
do not
on.
intend to retire either Holt or Trifoli. We'll see what management allows as far as handling all of the back-end stuff in the game and making sure everyone is able to do their jobs to the best of their ability. We may have to take a back seat in some games. Going forward, we may have to take a back seat in a lot of games, but the current intent is to still play.
Yeah,
Mic
I have
off.
realistic
Mic feedback
expectations for how
off.
possible that's going to be, though. Just as a point of interest, though, neither Sammy or I intend to be involved in plot. We consider that to be the purview of Ian and his team.
Mic on.
That is a really
Mic
good question,
feedback
Mac.
on.
We are going to probably be putting out a call for specific staff roles at some point in the near future. We want to reach out to everyone that is currently a staff member of Arcanorum, see if they are interested in continuing those roles or if that's something that we will need to fill going forward. So as soon as we can get that list together, we will put it out to the community and we can go from there.
Yeah, just
Mic
for a
off.
specific
Mic
one,
feedback
probably
off.
sometime near the end of next month, we're probably going to have a community service day where we haul everyone out to help us empty, clean, and repair some of the monster camp and trailer stuff. That's like a specific immediate need. And then, yeah, we'll be staffing up as we go. Ian, since you are in charge of your plot team, can you speak to if any members of plot are going to retain, or are you looking for new people, or you have had this knowledge for about 2 days and haven't got to it yet?
Mic on.
Yes,
Mic
have not had enough
feedback
time
on.
yet is also a valid answer.
Mic off. Mic feedback off. Mic on. Mic feedback
So for those of
on.
you not reading the chat, basically Ian is saying not currently, he has not had those conversations yet with any previous plot team, but anyone is welcome.
Mic off. Mic feedback off. Mic on.
Pretty
Mic
much, Trace.
feedback on.
We did not want to have a lot of conversations with people until we had gone through and had all of the conversations we needed to have with Eric to make sure that this was going to be a viable path forward. So, some of the questions that will be asked tonight, unfortunately, the answer is going to be we need a little bit more time to get all the ducks in a row.
Yep.
This mainly comes from seeing the Alliance policy for staff. Are there any planned changes for policies of recruiting and or maintaining staff?
Yeah, so right now we're probably going
Mic
to
off.
generate a
Mic
new
feedback
charter
off.
of staff functionally, reassess staff positions, talk to people who are currently in staff, and then probably do a fair bit of reorganization. But yeah, I would also maybe like a little more elaboration because I'm not super clear with the Alliance staff policy.
Mic on.
Alliance does
Mic
things like
feedback
background checks
on.
and actual, like, legal things for that example. Oh, okay, yeah, I see what you're saying there. I am not opposed to background checks for staff members after my knowledge and what I have heard of what has happened at Alliance in the past. I wasn't there, so anything that I have heard is, you know, coming to me through the rumor mill, but I don't like what I heard happened, at least. To be clear, I'm not saying I want those necessarily. I was just curious if something like that was planned. Okay, so we don't have a current plan to enact that. I am just saying that I am open to that in the future if we start to have anything like what I heard happened at Alliance. I am... Again, I wasn't there, but from what I've heard, it was an unsafe situation, and I do not ever want anything like that to happen with Arcanorum.
We're also very willing to float any suggestions anyone has. Very open communication. We're hoping our level of
Off.
communication will be
Mic
satisfactory,
feedback
but
off.
we're also definitely not opposed to hearing from you.
Mic on. Mic feedback on.
So I see several people are typing, and I don't want to speak if I'm about to just summarize whatever Brandon is currently typing, because I think he might be responding to Trace's statement of this being the first she has heard of whatever happened at Alliance. Okay, no, that was not Brandon's question. So, Trace, to answer that, I don't want to go too much in depth because, like I've said, I was not there and everything I have heard has been through the grapevine. But the knowledge that we were given is that, unfortunately, Alliance at some point had a registered sex offender on staff. Which I think might be why Brandon was inquiring about background checks.
Yeah. Just future questions, Ian. Yeah, so Ian's like direction is maintenance
Mic off.
of continuity.
Mic feedback off.
So I'd like to see no plot lines dropped. I'd like to see I can live with minimal plot lines being dropped, but we're hoping to change as little as possible. Let's see. Any thoughts on solving
Mic
issues
on.
with finding
Mic
sites
feedback
reconsidering
on.
JCC?
We have someone right now who is currently investigating multiple sites and is in contact with those sites. We intend to do some site tours over this winter break and assess what is going to be the best path moving forward for that. But we do have someone that is looking into sites right now.
Yeah, we're also
Mic off. Mic
waiting to see how
feedback
Alliance
off.
does with the Ward campsite and see how that goes. 'Cause that might just be the easy option.
Mic on.
Are there any
Mic
changes from a
feedback on.
story/rules/staff perspective that you are specifically looking to make happen? Like, I understand that you're trying to keep continuity, but any changes you want to make? So for right now, we don't want to change anything because we acknowledge that things are kind of fragile at the moment. You know, we're coming back from a really big break after this. It's under new ownership, and even though our dedication is to keep things as similar as possible, there's always going to be people having a little bit of trepidation going forward. So we don't want to make any really big changes, and we also want to hear feedback from the community before we look into doing anything like that.
Mic
Yeah,
off. Mic
we've had some talks with
feedback
the GS
off.
team, and there are people who have like some rough edges they think they could sand off. There might be some minimal changes, but I don't foresee making any substantial changes like rolling up until April.
Mic on.
Advanced
Mic
classes.
feedback
Technically, advanced classes are already
Mic
a thing.
off.
I
Mic
think, to my knowledge,
feedback off.
people who had attended every game are now level 11. So, advanced classes will be going in over the winter. We might have to have Ken get a little bit of extra help to load them all up into the CMA because that's going to be a lot of individual labor. So that also might be a thing we look for some help towards. Let's see. Expense of sites. What are player recruitment plans for the Colorado area? Well, Sammy, you had some ideas for recruitment, right?
Mic on.
Yes.
Mic feedback on.
So we do know some people that have extensive experience with social media and marketing that I will probably be reaching out to ask for help. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But we do plan on ramping up advertising quite a bit. as far as expense, there's going to be some budgeting changes that need to be made. We are not looking at changing any prices for the players at this time.
But it'll largely depend on
Yeah.
site cost, frankly.
Mic off.
We're
Mic
also
feedback
thinking
off.
moving forward, we'd like to get into talks with other local LARPs and come to some arrangements, maybe mutually beneficial NPC agreements, player recruitment, that kind of thing. In terms of a feedback box, yes, I would very much like an out-of-game feedback box. There might already be one. If there's not one, we'll make one. I'd personally like a public feedback forum, and also have a private suggestion box you can throw into the void, and hopefully we'll read. I do intend to read all of them, but sometimes it's hard to know whether or not your suggestion box slip is getting acknowledged. Price for players, be lovely to keep prices down or static. Yeah, it really just depends on what the sites cost. It's kind of the nature of the beast. Running a LARP like this is your costs are overwhelmingly dependent on your site booking fees and what goes along with that and what associated costs you have. There's an IC box. You can tell Arthur he's doing needs to change something about running the game. We'll make an out of game feedback box.
Will the
Mic
service
on.
points
Mic
players earned
feedback
under the
on.
previous management be maintained? Oh, absolutely. Everyone that has obtained service points and every service point you have gained is staying with your character. That is a system we do not intend to take away at all. We are even looking into ways to help people get more CP. We're going to be doing an evaluation of CP gains and rewards going forward because we think it could be made just a little bit more friendly for players right now.
That was a side note that I had not mentioned, but was
Mic
on my
off.
mind going into
Mic
this is
feedback off.
we are also honoring obligations from the GoFundMe. We'll probably be looking into see who we are still obligated to deliver content to for that
Mic
and
on.
make sure
Mic
it actually gets
feedback
delivered.
on.
Let's see. Trace. Some sites charge more or less a flat fee. Some sites charge by the human on site, including non-paying volunteers. More players doesn't always equal. That's true. More players doesn't necessarily mean better site just because of the cost involved and our intention to continue having NPCs not paying for those spots. Let's see. Any chance we might get a revisit on balance for the basic classes?
Mic off. Mic
Yes.
feedback off.
One of the pain points that came up in discussing with people on rules is that, as like a strong example, people feel like fighter is relatively underwhelming. I probably won't scope that out as a distinct change for April, but I'll definitely be looking at that moving forward.
Mic on.
Ian says,
Mic
I've been
feedback
tinkering with
on.
a better out-of-character feedback form as well, which I can implement over the winter for player feedback on the website. Great, we love to hear that.
Mic off. Mic feedback off. Mic on. Mic
On that
feedback
note,
on.
there was some
Mic
interest
off.
from
Mic
the GS
feedback
team
off.
to conduct some player rule surveys as well. There's a lot of fact finding we want to do over the winter. Luckily for us, the Colorado winters are kind of harsh, so we're not in any huge rush to do anything before spring of next year. So we have a lot of time to get back on our feet and stabilize. But like I said, we are intending, this is our goal for ourselves, to run a game in April.
I
Mic
would like
on.
to
Mic
add on to that.
feedback
You said
on.
that we're not planning to do anything over the winter. That's not entirely true. We do have what we're looking for as a couple of community service days and possibly one more day event on top of the September 14th event. We will see how that shakes out.
Mic off. Mic feedback off. Mic on.
What
Mic
about the
feedback
once a
on.
month meetups? Could you elaborate a little bit on that? Are you talking about like the town hall meetings or... Oh, yes. We will absolutely be doing town halls going forward. We may increase that to twice a month just until we kind of get everything back in order and we have our staff set up, just because people are going to have questions, and that's understandable. Let's see. Trace says, if there is interest, I'm kind of tinkering with some casual social get-togethers at Thane's table. Oh, okay. Purely social tavern nights of PC chitty chats together in person. I do like that idea. I am down for social get-togethers.
Yeah, I may ping
Mic off.
Miss
Mic
Katie
feedback
Brockage and see
off.
what they paid to reserve Thane's Table for Alliance and see if that's something we can think about doing. Because an indoor event space would be pretty nice.
Mic on.
Oh,
Mic
Ollie
feedback
is also
on.
tinkering with a Halloween get-together if there is interest. Is that a spooky, scary skeleton RGB dance emote? Oh my god, I love it. Let's see. Brandon says, I know you're going to be reaching out to former staff, and in the interest of the previous question on help, should we / can we expect a staff list and / or open position list at some point for any positions that aren't filled? Yes.
Yeah, we're going to be chartering out a new staff structure relatively soon, maybe a week, probably less, and then we'll start reaching out to people who are currently on staff who would like to maintain being on staff. We'd like to get a good idea of what people are willing to do and like where people are planning to be, because there's a lot of filled staff positions currently. And some of those will be staying, some will be going. It just really depends.
Alright, Trace says, just FYI, Connor, there are usually some annual parties within the community, not necessarily open to all of LARP, but just know there's some social competition for an understandably very popular party date with Halloween. That makes sense. Michelle says, I am curious if anyone is able to speak on why this change in ownership occurred, but I understand if things are confidential. I don't necessarily think they're confidential by any means. It really just came down to we wanted to see if the game was for sale at all. We discussed a lot of things with Eric about our willingness to continue on the game that he helped make, and kind of see if he wanted to pursue other avenues. Anything past that, I would like him to feel free to answer himself, because I don't want to speak for him. I know from our part, it just came from a place of passion for the game. Brandon says, is the game still a non-profit? If I recall correctly, it was originally set up as one. I could be wrong, though.
The game itself, the intention will be nonprofit. We'll get being able to turn a profit at all. We'll get to that bridge when we get there, and we'll see what our financials look like at the end of the year. But the intention is to continue to be not for profit. We're not set up as like a 501c7 or anything like that. It's set up as just an LLC, but because there's all sorts of requirements for a
To be clear, the LLC that Arthur and I have does not own the intellectual properties of Arcanorum. That is a separate entity. If that changes at any point in the future, obviously the community will be made aware of it, but that is not what is happening right now.
Mic off. Mic feedback off.
Sammy and I personally own Arcanorum's IP. I am most excited to see the game start back up in April in the way that we loved. Like there's a game here that everyone really enjoyed, really loved. There's a community that is very close. And what I am excited for most is getting to see those people play the game again the way that they liked without any really mystery or ambiguity and just say, hey, we're going to run a game in April. And you get to go see everyone. It'll be the same rules, same story. Minimum drop in continuity.
Mic on.
For me,
Mic
same as
feedback
Arthur,
on.
but on a sillier, more personal note, finally getting to eat someone as a Geist. I've been waiting for it. It hasn't happened yet. Stand for Linrid. Yes, Trace. Brandon. Oh, no, sorry. Trace says, Brandon, I think that's also a great open conversation for general about what everybody is most excited about. Yeah, I mean, that's a really good topic. I would like to see what people are excited about. Yes, the general channel. Trace says, what can we do to help within the next 2 weeks prior to the Winter Halters party on September 14th? That is a good question. Arthur and I are currently in the process of putting together a list of things that will need to be tackled, both in the immediate short term and a little bit further out. We don't have a conclusive list yet. I expect to have one by the end of the weekend. Thanks, Trace. As soon as we have that list of things that we can bring people in to help with, we will let you know. Did anybody have any more questions, feedback, suggestions, commentary? Ian, that gif is so threatening. Let's see, I'm just glad the game is still going. So are we. What is with all these gifs of men making lists that look unpleased? I see we're doing this on purpose now. Notes upon notes. Truly excited to see it still going. I feel like that is the feedback we've gotten the most of. Oh, thank you, a duck. Brendan says, I just wanted to say as a commentary, I'm looking forward to seeing this game continue. I'm stoked to hear Ian is back as head of plot, and I wish you both all the luck with getting this game going again next year. Thank you. I mean, partially luck, but also partially you guys. Game does not exist without community. Nathan says, thanks for communicating more of your thoughts and what is going on. We really want to be as open with our communication as we can be. We want people to feel comfortable coming to us if they have questions, suggestions, feedback, complaints, any of that. I know that the GS team has surveys and forms set up for collecting that kind of data. We plan to utilize that going forward. I really hope the community takes advantage of those tools.
And we also intend to have a lot of communication with the player base going forward. Bare minimum town hall a month, maybe more if we have more things to say. We intend to keep up strong lines of communication as we keep moving, so no one's ever thinking they're blindsided.
I think we'll give it about 5 more minutes, just in case anybody has anything else to say, ask, commentary. And then we'll probably wrap it up. I like how we went from angry man making a list to angry cat. I am open to receive suggestions on future Feel Good Fridays, including, could you be less... question mark. Trace, you and I think, are the type of people that don't understand the definition of less. We are go, 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 full on all the time. And I appreciate that I have someone I can express those feelings with. I don't think it's updated on the recording yet, but Brandon is typing. Oh, here we go. Brandon says, thanks also to Eric Steinkamp and Ian and Mark. Mark is not just some other dude. You gotta change your title, man. Everyone else on staff and plot who got us through to now. I hope to see all of you. Oh, yes. I am so thankful for Eric, specifically everything that he has offered to us going forward. I do want to say that Eric has offered to help us as much as he possibly can with this transition, and it is so greatly appreciated. Ian, as head of plot, is remaining head of plot, again, so supportive. I really look forward to working with Ian going forward. And Mark is not just some dude. We had a short meeting. I agree with Trace. We need to grab you and, like, drag you out to a game sometime next year. Oh, yes, of course.
Hey everybody, I stole Liz's computer.
Oh, hello.
I
Mic
wanted
off.
to
Mic
let everybody
feedback
know I
off.
will get the details posted fully in Discord once I actually have permissions for that. But we are going to do a potluck harvest festival at the gathering in 2 weeks. I'm Dan Winterhalter, by the way. I'm one of those hosts. I'm also Talk. But I look forward to seeing all of you. Please bring yourselves, bring your character, bring something to pass in the harvest theme. And if any either individuals or groups are excited about the idea of bringing a booth or an activity to the gathering, please reach out to me directly and we'll see if we can make that work. Thank you very much.
And thank you for hosting an event.
Mic on.
Max
Mic
says, maybe it would be
feedback
helpful
on.
to tell everyone who Mark is for those who don't know why he's not just some dude. Yeah, so Mark was a previous Denver director. Mark was a co-owner of the game. He's also very nice. We went to dinner, we had a lovely conversation, and he's also very supportive, and I appreciate every conversation we had. He is a very nice some dude, but not just some dude. Mark also, if I'm not mistaken, was one of the original founding members for the group that made Arcanorum. Troy says, Mark is also one of my all-time favorite PCs for whom to write plots in past lives, in past games, and I wish he would dust his ass off and get into game already. I did tell him at dinner the other night that I would find his wife to make sure that he came to a game. Oh, I see. Mark and wife are driving to Mountain right now. just in case this drops out, it is being recorded. And always listen to it later.
Mic off. Mic feedback off. Mic on. Mic feedback
I think we
on.
all want Market Game. I feel like that is the goal for 2025, is to find a way to get Mark to a game. So we're closing in on 7:45. If anybody has any more questions or feedback, we'll go ahead and answer those real quick. Otherwise, we'll probably start wrapping it up. Let's see. Trey says, I'm terribly excited and really positive about Arcanorum's resurrection. My heartfelt thanks to every individual who participated in this process. That is a really good sentiment, I think, to end our town hall on. So we're going to go ahead and end. We'll get another one set up as soon as the poll closes. And that one will also be recorded, transcribed, and then have a summary of notes. Probably, I would say within the next 24 to 48 hours, I'll have this one transcribed and summarized.
And no likely new
Mic off.
news there.
Mic
We'll just be
feedback
speaking
off.
to a different audience. So the same kind of spiel and the same kind of stuff. Possibly different questions, though.
Mic on.
Yeah, thank you
Mic
all for coming.
feedback on.
All right. Thank you for your time, everyone. We will see you next time.